theyeshiva.net.
Okay, Tayida Yidden. Masechta Megillah, Daf Daled Amid Beis. Around 20 lines from the top. Okay, let's move on, guys, here. I know you're in a good mood, everybody. Baruch Hashem. To Zayin Shevat. Rosh Hashanah Li'Elonais. You were reborn. Choli is be'erev Shabbos v'chuli. You see? Daf Daled Amid Beis. Choli is be'erev Shabbos v'chuli. It's like 20 lines from the top. 1, 2, 3. Mamish, 20 lines from the top. Choli is be'erev Shabbos chuli. Okay. You gotta go shift from one side of the brain to the other side of the brain. Is that possible?
Right to left.
It's not really a shift, but b'chitzonius it's a shift. No, this is pnimius. This is pnimius. You just have to shift from pnimius right to pnimius left. Okay. So the Mishnah said in the opening of Masechta Megillah, let's remember, as it went through the week, it gave the scenario of what happens when your Dalet Adar falls out on Friday. So the Mishnah said, in that case, those who live in villages, they read the Megillah on Yom HaKnissa, which would be on Thursday, Yud Gimel Adar. And those who live in larger cities read it, of course, on Friday, which is Yud Dalet Adar. And those who live in fortified cities also read it on Friday, Yud Dalet Adar, because they can't read it on Shabbos, because Shabbos would be Tesvav Adar. Usually they would read it on Tesvav, but it's Shabbos, so therefore they have to also do it a day early. So therefore the cities and the fortified cities all read it on Tesvav Adar. What happens if Yud Dalet Adar is on Shabbos? So then, of course, the Jews in the villages read it on Thursday, as they always do. They bring it back to Thursday. The Jews who live in fortified cities have no problem. They'll read it on Sunday, because Sunday is Tesvav Adar. And the Mishnah said the Chiddush that the Jews that live in the regular cities, you would think they would read it on Friday. They don't read it on Friday. They already read it together with the Jews in the towns, which would be on Yud Beis Adar. In other words, everybody reads it on Thursday, Yud Beis Adar, unless you live in a fortified city, and then you read it on Sunday, Tesvav Adar. That's what the Mishnah told us. The situation of Yud Dalet on Friday and then Yud Dalet on Shabbos. These two scenarios, how you deal with it. When Yud Dalet is on Friday, so then the cities and the fortified cities read it on Friday, the towns read it on Thursday. When Yud Dalet is on Shabbos, fortified cities read it on Sunday, and the others read it on Thursday. Says the Gemarah, Masnisin money. Masnisin is our Mishnah money. Who does it follow? What does it mean, who does it follow? Why is this a question? The reason this is a question, and this is good to know, because the Mishnah here says a lot of halachas, a lot of details, but without a name of an author. There's no name. There's nobody behind it. And since we're looking to find out the name of the author, so we know that Rabbi Yehuda Nasi was the editor of the Mishnah, right? But this perspective, who does it follow? Which name does it follow? And why is that a question? Because, as we will see, it's a very debatable issue. This is a hotly debated issue. If it's a hotly debated issue, so then we want to understand what pattern of thought, whose pattern of thought the Mishnah is following. And of course, when we know who the author is, it allows us to understand it much better, because we could sometimes compare it to other things that the author said, and we could see a certain picture of it. And this, similar to what we spoke earlier, there's looking at something and there's seeing the author of it. Right? Looking at the product is only seeing the external side of it. When you want to know the inner part of it, you want to know the author who said it. It's like looking at the world and not knowing its author. Or looking at the world and seeing it from the author's perspective. So, Masnisin money, who does this Mishnah follow? Rabbi, Rabbi Yossi. It could be two, we're not sure. It could be Rabbi. Rabbi is, of course, Rabbi Yehuda Hanasi, the editor of the Mishnah. Not just him as an editor, but him as, it's his opinion, as an author, because he was an editor and an author. Sometimes he'll quote in the Mishnah opinions that he doesn't agree with, but as an editor, he puts it in, right? A very interesting thing in Mishnayos, also interesting to mention, is that he always, whenever there's an argument between Beis Shammai and Beis Hillel, always, he first quotes Divrei Beis Shammai and then Beis Hillel, even though he himself was a grandson of Hillel, a biological grandson of Hillel. And he belonged to Beis Hillel, to that family, to that group, to that mindset. But in Mishnayos, he always quotes first his opponents, which is Beis Shammai. Fascinating. That's where the Gemarah says in Maseches Eruvin that the reason that the halacha is like Beis Hillel is because they were more pleasant, they were more humble, and not only that, they would always give precedence to the view of Beis Shammai versus their view. They always makdimin divrei Beis Shammai divrei Beis Hillel. Where do you see it? You see it in the Mishnah. Rabbi Yehuda Anasi Kefa Beis Hillel. Always you'll see whenever there's an argument, Beis Shammai comes first. L'chayda put your zaydas first. It's your family. It's your group. It's your chevra. No. Very interesting, no? Okay, fine. But in other words, he's giving them the first Rishus HaDibur.
You're saving the most delicious food.
Okay.
This is when there's a whole list.
It's two people, and you go first, then I'll go. The truth is, it's much deeper than that. The Rabbi Yosef Shol Natanson writes this in his commentary on Gemarah and Eruvin Yad Shol. He says, why is that a reason to make the halacha like Beis Hillel? It's a reason to make a shidduch with Beis Hillel. It's a reason to hang out with Beis Hillel. They're pleasant people. But halacha should follow sharpness, depth. And it says Beis Shammai was sharper. So he says no. Because whenever you give precedence to the view of your opponent before your own view, it means that you're considering everything he says before you're saying what you're saying. And only then can you reach an accurate conclusion, because it's not coming from dogma and narrowness, it's coming from expansiveness. In other words, sometimes I have an opinion because I never heard another opinion. That's not called an opinion. It's just called you were indoctrinated a certain way. The only way you can figure out you can express a real opinion is if you consider all the sides and you challenge yourself to consider it all, and you're ready to step down from your own position if it's true, and then you come to your conclusion. It's a very powerful idea. That's why in Mishnayos he'll always say Beis Shammai before Beis Hillel. There's no such a thing. You're wrong. Let's hear everything, and sometimes you're not wrong. Sometimes you're right. Lasid love. The Arizal says Allah ke Beis Shammai. Lasid love. No, but the Gemarah says the Megillah of Beis Hillel was that Magdimin divrei Beis Shammai. In other words, in Torah was a certain prominence. Okay, so the Gemarah says, Rabbi Yossi. This Mishnah could follow either Rabbi or Rabbi Yossi, meaning we have two available authors. Now, what does this mean we have two available authors? Where, what, when, where are you getting this from? So he says, my Rabbi, what do you mean it could follow Rabbi? Which Rabbi are you talking about? Is there another Rabbi? He says, yeah, the Tanya, we have a Braisa. Now we're bringing in a text from a Braisa, which is not Mishnah, and this Braisa is going to teach us what Rabbi believed, and therefore we can give him the authorship of this statement in Mishnah. The Tanya, the Braisa says, Choli is Be'erev Shabbos. If you Dalit, Adar is on Friday. So the Tana of this Braisa holds, unlike our Mishnah, Kfarim Bayaris G'daylos Makdimin Liyay Maknisa, or Makafin Chayma Kairin Bay Bayayim. If you Dalit is Erev Shabbos, this Braisa holds, fascinatingly, that everybody reads on Thursday. The villages and the big cities read on Thursday. Those who have a wall read it on Friday. Unlike our Mishnah, which said that Yudalit Adar on Friday, the people in the villages read it on Thursday. But the people living in regular cities read it on Friday. Why not? It's Yudalit. And the people who live in walled cities will also read it on Friday because they can't read it on Shabbos. This Braisa teaches us a different halacha. If Yudalit is Erev Shabbos, 1 second. Everybody goes back to Thursday, even the cities. And who stays with Friday? Only the walled cities. Very interesting halach. Rabbi says, Oimer ani, I say, lo yidachu ayoris mim kaiman. Do not push away the cities from their regular place, meaning from their regular time, which is Yudalit. It's Friday. Let them read. Ela elu ve'elu kairim baybayayim. Both the open cities and the walled cities read it on Friday, Erev Shabbos. Clearly, Rebbe could be the author of our Mishnah, because Rebbe says clearly, even Jews in open cities should not read it on Thursday. They can read it on Friday. This is what they do every year. Lo yidachu ayaris mim kaiman. Why take the cities and push them away from their regular time, from their regular place? Place here means time. From their regular time and routine when they read the Megillah. I just want to point out, Rebbe says, Oimer ani. It's a very unusual expression. You could just say, Rebbe says, Lo yidacha yaris mem kaiman. Usually when you have an opinion in Mishnayos or Gemarah or Brisa, it says, this person said, and he said his opinion. He doesn't have to say, I say. Obviously, I say. If I'm saying it, it's obvious that I'm saying it, right? I don't have to say, I'm saying it. Yeah, you're not saying it, I'm saying it. You don't have this anywhere else. But the truth is, there's many places in Shas that when Rebbe introduces his opinion, he starts off with these words, Omer ani, I say it. And Rabbi Yosef Engel, one of the great Polish Gaonim, passed away around 1920, the Rav of Bendin in Poland. He has a sefer called Beis HaOtzer, and he says that this is unique to Rebbe. You don't see this anywhere else in Shas, that somebody should speak like this. When Rebbe used to open up a statement that argued with others, he would say, Omer ani, I say. And he explains it interestingly, because the Gemarah says at the end of Maseches Saita, Mishemeis Rebbe Batla Anova V'yiras Chet. When Rebbe passed away, real humility was obliterated from the world. So he says, when every Rebbe would say his opinion, he would say, I think, I say, meaning it's like Omer ani. It's not Omer ani. I say, you're wrong, I'm right. Omer ani, this is what I feel, this is what I think, this is my opinion. He says that it was Rebbe's way of saying, I'm not saying that this is right, I'm not saying this decisively, I'm not saying that this is the absolute verdict. I'm telling you what my mind tells me. That's what this his way. It was like almost minimizing the authority and the power of his words. Omer ani, this is which by the way, in an argument is always much more effective. Right? I'm not talking in business because I'm not a maven on that, but I know in emotions, right? It's just a very powerful tool. I didn't think that we're going to get into marriage here. That's true. I wasn't planning it, but it's a very good mashal. A Jewish couple is in an argument. This is even a non-Jewish couple, but I don't know how many non-Jewish couples are going to be listening to this Shir Gemarah. But a Jewish couple is in an argument, right? You say, I say, you say, I say, you say. You said this, and therefore I got insulted, or I got hurt, I got affected. And the other person is arguing, no, I never said it, you didn't understand it, you didn't this, you're immature, you have your own problems, and so forth. What's the way of avoiding a lot of this? Never speak in blanket statements and authoritative declarations. Speak about your experience. In other words, I could tell you, I just want to tell you what my emotions felt like when you said that. Now, what are you going to argue with me? You're going to say, no, you didn't feel that way. I'm telling you, I'm not telling you you meant it. I'm not saying you're bad. I'm not saying you're evil. I'm not saying you're malicious. All I'm telling you is about my emotional experience. Omer ani. This is just it's my thing. It may be completely my thing, but this is where I am. You can't argue with that, right? If I say you insulted me, I never insulted you, you have issues, go to therapy. You didn't insult me. My feeling, it's my thing. It minimizes you, but it really allows for the other person to hear much deeper. I'm just telling you, real humility allows, now I could listen to you because you're not attacking me. You're just saying, Omer ani, this is my experience. So it's not me against you. This is your experience. I can actually listen to it because you're not putting me down. You understand what I'm saying? This is a very effective way of communication. You understand? So you could practice it and you'll see the difference and let me know tomorrow. And if it doesn't work, you get your money back. Omer ani, I say that you don't push off the cities and they read on your dalit. So our Mishnah could follow Rebbe. Frag the Gemarah, your question, my time at the Tanakama. What would be the reason of Tanakama to say that in unfortified cities they should read on Thursday? Why? Rebbe makes sense, read on Friday. So the Gemarah says, I'll tell you the reason, a fascinating reason. The Ksiv, it says in the Megillah.
So they took 2 different days.
So let's see. It says in the Megillah. This is Megillah Perik Tes Pasuk Chafal. If I'm going to read the whole Pasuk. The Jewish people accepted the suggestion and instructions of Mordechai and Esther. Liyos oisem eshnei hayamim me'ela kichsavam v'chizmanam b'chol shana v'shana. The Jewish people agreed to observe the 2 days, Yudalid and Tesvav, b'chol shana v'shana, every year and year. What does this mean, b'chol shana v'shana? Literally it means they're going to do it every year. Not just the first year, not just the second year, not just the third year. They're going to do it every year. And they're right, because till today, we still observe Purim. But what's B'chol Shana v'Shana twice? Could have said B'chol Shana every year. No, every year and year. So literally you say, well, it's 1 year and another year and another year. B'chol Shana v'Shana. Every single year and year we do it. The Gemarah understands it to say something more. Not just we're going to do it every year. We're going to do it every year in the same way. It could have said B'chol Shana means we observe it every year. B'chol Shana v'Shana means every year is a copy of the previous year. We're not just going to constantly do it forever. We're going to do it forever in the same way. B'chol Shana v'Shana, we're going to always do it in the same way. Every year like the previous year. And by the way, the word Shana comes from the word, you know where the word Shana comes from, right? Shinui, one alternative, but another interpretation is in the Rishonim, Mishnah, like from the word Sheni, which means double, Mishnah Torah, the repetition of Torah, because each year is like a repetition of the previous year, because all the cycles we repeat once again, all the Parshas, all the cycles, all the holidays, all the months, right? So every year is a microcosm of life, and the next year is a repeat of the previous year. So B'chol Shana v'Shana is, it's going to be a repeat every single year consistently, even without. I'm just adding this as an extra insight. But the point is, every year and year, in other words, it's always the same. B'chol Shana v'Shana. If so, this is an important idea. This means we're trying to hold on to the structure and repeat it. But now we have a problem, because since your Dalet Adar is on Friday, so the people living in these walled cities can't do it on Shabbos. They can't repeat from last year because they have a calendar problem. They have to change it. They're forced. So now listen to the Svara of Tanakama. Listen to the Svara of Tanakama. Okay. Tanakama says like this. Mash kol shana v'shana yoris koid mislim kofin. Afkana yoris koid mislim kofin. Every year, the unwalled cities read the Megillah before the walled cities. Yudalan and Tesvav. Every year you want to repeat that structure. So the unwalled cities need to read it before the walled cities, and the walled cities read it on Friday. They got to do it on Thursday. That's his svara. That's Tanakama's svara. Frag the Gemarah, wait. This is not fair. Ve'ema, b'chol shana v'shana, maybe say b'chol shana v'shana means, ma kol shana v'shana ein nitchin ayaris b'mekayman, afkan lo yidach ayaris b'mekayman. Maybe kol shana v'shana means every year, if you're living in a regular, unfortified city, you read on your Dalet. Fixed date, your Dalet. So this year you should also read it on your Dalet. Maybe that's the kol shana v'shana. In other words, you're choosing one over the other. Kol shana v'shana teaches me that you try to read the Megillah the same time and in the same routine every single year. But what does this mean? What does it mean the same? What should I hold on to? I can hold on to two separate things. One is fortified cities come a day later. But I can hold on to another point, and that is unfortified cities always do it on the same day. You're Dalet. So you're telling me that unfortified cities have to do it a day before. Maybe Kol Shana v'Shana should mean that if you're living in an unwalled city, stick to your Dalet like you did it last year and the year before and the year before and the year before. And you could because it's Friday. So he says, Shiny Hacha, here is different. Delay Efsher. I can't stick to your Dalet. Why can't I stick to your Dalet? Because if I'm going to stick to your Dalet, which is the permanent time, then what's going to be? The walled cities and the unwalled cities are going to read the same day. And the walled cities have to read a day later. That's the structure of the Megillah. So therefore, in this case, I have no choice but to take the Dalet and uproot it from its regular date and put it in Yud Gimel. That's what Tanakama believes. Let's see the other side. Rabbi, my timer. What's Rabbi's reason? What's Rabbi's reason that we read everything we read Erev Shabbos in the walled and unwalled? Exactly the same words in the opposite way, because it says b'chol shana v'shana. Ma kol shana v'shana ein ayaris titchim b'mkayman afkan lo yidach ayaris b'mkayman. Just like every year, the open cities never get pushed off. They always read it on your Dalet. This year, they also shouldn't get pushed off. They read it on your Dalet. Ay, v'yema b'chol shana v'shana, ma kol shana v'shana, ayaris kaidmis l'makafin, afka nami ayaris kaidmis l'makafin. Maybe make the opposite cheshbon. Every year, the unwalled cities read it a day before the walled cities. So this year, it should also be that way. Shiny, you're right, but shiny, in this case, we can't. Because if I do the unwalled cities a day before the walled cities, it won't be Yud Dalet, it'll be Yud Gimel. And that's a change of the regular structure. And I want to maintain the regular structure. So therefore, I have to put the Yud Dalet for unwalled cities, and they have to read it on Friday. They're going to read it together with walled cities, unlike every year. You're right, but I got no choice. They can't read it on Shabbos. No, what's the argument here? You teufus? Huh? In other words, what? How we read Shana V'Shana. But let's understand what the argument is called Shana V'Shana. Basically, there's two. I say, we like to maintain structure. What last year is this year, next year, next year, next year. Got that. B'chol Shana V'Shana the same way. But what does that mean? A lot of things happen Kol Shana V'Shana. Which one do I hold to be sacred and, unchangeable? And which one do I say, if I have no choice, I'm going to be flexible? That's the argument. You could look at two different items and focus on one, and that becomes the primary feature that you'll never change. Or you could look at another one and say, no, that becomes the primary feature that's never changed. And that's not clear in the pasuk. That depends on interpretation, and this is where the Tanoim argued. And the argument is not just for the sake of argument, it's really a substantial argument. Why? If you focus on the detail, that the walled cities have to read a day after the unwalled cities, it means your real focus is to give prominence to the walled cities, to Shushan. That they always have to have their own day, their own Purim, their own celebration. And I don't care what happens, we are maintaining that structure. Shushan gets its own day. Yerushalayim gets its own day because it's Mukaf. The walls, they have their own day. That we will never change. That we will never change. And therefore, in a case like this where Yud Dalet is Friday, the walled cities have to have their own day. So what do I do with the unwalled cities? Take them back to Thursday. It's not the routine of every year. You're right, I got no choice, but I have to hold on to the structure that walled cities get their own day. That's the shit of Tanakama. Rabbi says, no, that's not the most important feature. The most important feature is the Yud Dalet. He actually focuses more on the unwalled cities. The unwalled cities, which are, of course, the majority of the Jewish communities, they read on Yud Dalet. This is their Purim. That I will hold on to whenever I can. And therefore, in this case, they can read it on Yud Dalet, read it on Yud Dalet. As a result of that, I have to change the structure of every year because they're reading it together with the Shushan Jews. Okay, I have no choice. For Rabbi, the most important thing is not the Mukaf, the walled cities. The most important thing is the unwalled cities, the majority of the Jewish people, and they read Yud Dalet, and that's the structure he wants to hold up. Perhaps because he was a Nasi. Rabbi Yehuda HaNasi was a Nasi, and he looked at that. In other words, the first Shitta says the miracle happened in Shushan. They're the ones. Esther lived in Shushan. Mordechai lived in Shushan. Achashverosh lived in Shushan. Even Haman lived in Shushan. And without Haman, we wouldn't get a holiday. So you got to follow Shushan. They get the prominence. Listen, they win. They get the cake. They get the prize. It's their Yom Tov. Perhaps. Rabbi perhaps says, Rabbi was he was the Nasi of the Sanhedrin. Rashi has an expression in Chukas, Hanasi hu akoil, right? Or this week, Rashi says in Yisro, Moshe Shakol connected Kol Yisrael, connected to all the Jewish people. So perhaps Rabbi looked at most Jews live in unwalled cities and they do Yud Dalet. That's the main structure of Purim. Don't manipulate their Purim. Keep it. Even if it's Friday, even if it's going to be the same day like the Makafin, okay. The truth is, excellent question. When the Anshe Knesset Hagdolah made Purim, it was Deicha Shabbos. It was. You're right. We're soon going to see next piece of Gemarah. You're right. When they made Purim, it was supposed to be on Shabbos too, and you would read the Megillah on Shabbos. You're right. No, but this pasuk speaks about these 2 days. This pasuk speaks about. You have to read the whole pasuk. No, you have to read the whole pasuk. L'kayem aleim liyisaisim es yoim arba'asa l'chodesh adar v'esem chamisha asaboy b'chol shana v'shana. It's talking about Yud Dalet and Tesvav to do it every year. So we understand B'chol Shana V'Shana not just to do something every year, to do it repetitively every year. The same way. The argument is what the B'chol Shana V'Shana is. Interesting argument, huh? You see, you can read this Gemarah Friday, Thursday, Friday.
Then you can say this is against Rabbi because it says Yud Dalet and Tesvav. He cannot bring it. Tesvav says.
You're right. The question is, we have a B'chol Shana V'Shana. We have two features of Kol Shana V'Shana. Which one are we embracing first, and therefore which one is being rejected? For Tanakama, we're embracing the idea of Mukafais Chaima get their own day. That's it. That's my priority. Yud Dalet will have to be pushed off. I'm sorry. I would love not to, but I got no choice. It says B'chol Shana V'Shana. You're right, but what am I supposed to do? When should the fortified cities read it? Shabbos they can't. Sunday they can't. You can't do it after Purim. It's only before. So I have no choice. Friday, so they have to go to Thursday. Rabbi says no. The B'chol Shana V'Shana is what? On the unwalled cities, they should always be on Yud Dalet. Here, they could be on Yud Dalet. It's a Friday. The Mekafas Chaim are going to be the same day. You're right. I know it's changing the structure of Purim, but I got no choice. What am I supposed to do with them? I'm not going to put them on Thursday, according to Rabbi. We'll soon see a third opinion who tries to make peace. Wants both. He wants the cake and he wants to eat it too. And you know what he does? We'll soon see a third opinion. He puts the Mekafas Chaima on Thursday. But that's a completely third opinion. Because it's not like Rabbi, it's not like Tanakama. Okay, you're adding to Tanakama a good word. Since their war ended, since their war continued another day, and their Purim was on Tesvav, so they always have to be a day later. So you're adding why it's so important.
It's the opposite. I'm saying then they don't have to be a day
You
later.
think you're saying the opposite, but I'm using your words to say the opposite of what you think you're saying. Yeah? I know you didn't have that in mind, but I'm using your words to disagree with you. Yeah. That's what Tanakama is saying. This is the story. You got to hold it up. Why Shana twice? B'chol Shana, every year. It means every year, no exceptions. Every year and year. Okay, so we're medayik, and we say B'chol Shana V'Shana means year by year, like you'll say year after year after year after year. In other words, not just you're going to do it. You're going to do it as you did it the previous year. That's what it seems to be. The Gemarah doesn't say clearly it's the Shana V'Shana, but that's what I think. B'chol Shana V'Shana. In other words, try to keep it the same. Right, so it could say B'chol Shana, no skipping Purim. It's not like we're not in the mood, we don't want Shalach Manas this year, we don't want anybody getting drunk, we're skipping Purim this year. So we established that the Mishnah could follow Rabbi nicely. Frag the Gemarah, my Rabbi Yossi. You also said that the Mishnah could follow Rabbi Yossi. What's Rabbi Yossi? So now we introduce a new brayse, and Baruch Hashem, we're going to have a whole new opinion here. Tanya, we have another brayse. Don't lose your train of mind here. Don't lose your concentration. Chali is Be'er of Shabbos. If your Dalet falls out on Friday, Mukafin ukfarim magdimin liyayim aknisa vayaras doilas karim by bayayim. Ooh, a new opinion. Your Dalet is on Friday. You know what you do? The villages read on Thursday. The fortified cities read on Thursday. For the first time, the fortified cities read before the unwalled cities. And the regular cities read it on Erev Shabbos. This is a whole new opinion. This man, this Tana, takes the walled cities and brings them back from Shabbos. They can't do it on Shabbos. They go back to Thursday. And if I'm in a regular city without a wall, I do it on Friday. So the people in the walled cities read it together with the villagers who read it all on Thursday, which is Yud Gimel, Yud Beis Adar, because Shabbos is Yud. I'm sorry, which is Yud Beis Adar, yeah. Which is Yud Gimel. Sorry, Yud Gimel, yeah. Shushan Purim would read it on Yud Gimel Adar, yeah, and Yerushalayim. Rabbi Yossi says, no, please. Ein mukafin kaid min la'yaris. There's no such a thing. You read the Megillah in the fortified cities before the regular cities. Let them both read it on the same day, which is Friday, just like Rabbi said, just like our Mishnah said. Beautiful. So our Mishnah could be authored by Rabbi, it could be authored by Rabbi Yossi. So Rabbi said it in the previous brisa. Rabbi Yossi says it in this brisa. Rabbi is arguing with the idea that the fortified city has to do it on Friday and the unfortified city does it on Thursday. Rabbi Yossi is arguing with the idea that the fortified city does it on Thursday and the unfortified city does it on Friday. And Rabbi Yossi and Rabbi both say no. Everybody does it on Friday. Besides, the Jews in the villages do it on Thursday. Caprenda?
Yeah, where does the Kvarim that they say it before?
They're always doing it on Thursday. So that's from the Mishnah. We learned when you're living in a little village and you don't have a minyan for Purim, right? So they said in order for the Jews to have an open Purim, they don't have to schlep to the city a half a day. They could celebrate. So they could just do it on Thursday and they have an open Purim. They could feast and shalach manas and dance and enjoy the day. It was a beautiful institution that Jews shouldn't have to schlep into the city again on Purim, right? Which would of course be a tremendous burden and would also minimize their Simchas Purim. You know when you have to get from here to Borough Park, right? You have to do that on Purim. You have to get to Borough Park, right? And you basically all day you're in the van trying to celebrate. You know the feeling, right? It's a gewaldig, huh? And you find a parking spot and you get drunk from finding a parking spot in Brooklyn. So that's what the sages wanted to avoid. They knew about Brooklyn traffic. So they said, you know what, Purim, you just stay home and enjoy your day. You don't have to schlep. Why? Because you read the Megillah already yesterday. That's the idea. 1 second, yeah?
Because of the special arrangement, now B'chol Shana V'Shana, we have to...
So we maintain that in the villages, they can always read Monday and Thursday before because they got a special dispensation. Remember, this is not Klal Yisrael. This is a few communities where they didn't have a minyan. So they have a dispensation that they could read in the days before Purim. And every year it changes based on Monday and Thursday. But in terms of Yudalit and Tesvav, these are fixed Purims. We don't manipulate them till like today. We have Yudalit and Yerushalayim. They do Tesvav, right? The question is, when Yudalit is on Friday, and the people in Tesvav can't do it on Shabbos, so they have to do it before. So this Tana says they do it on Thursday, and Rabbi says they do it on Friday. Asks the Gemarah, here we go through this situation, but a little bit different. My time at the Tanakama. What's the reason for Tanakama, who says that in Shushan, they read it on Thursday, which is Yud Gimel, which is very, very interesting. So he says, Tiksiv b'chol shana v'shana. You got to stick to the structure. No, what's the structure here? Every year the unwalled cities read it on the 14th, and the time of the fortified cities is not like the time of the unfortified cities. They're always two separate days. Afkan, Ayaris Bar Basar, Uzmanish Shalzel, Uzmanish Shalzel. Here too, by hook or by crook, we're going to make sure that the two types of cities don't have the same time of reading the Megillah. So therefore, they're not going to get Friday. The ones in the walled cities are going to go to Yud Gimel to Thursday. Because in the walled cities, you can't read it on Shabbos. You can't read it on Erev Shabbos, because then it would be the same time like Yudalit. And it says, B'chol Shana V'Shana, and B'chol Shana V'Shana, they're never in the same day. Walled and unwalled are separate days, so therefore we take the walled cities and we bring them back to Thursday. Frek the Gemarah, wait. Ve'ema b'chol shana v'shana, ma kol shana v'shana, ein mukafin kaid milayaris, afkan ein mukafin kaid milayaris. Maybe say that kol shana v'shana, you never do the walled cities before the unwalled cities. Shushan never goes a day before, it always goes a day after. I understand you don't want it the same day, but it never goes a day before, so you're changing the structure again. So he says, you're right. Shiny hachad lo yafshar. We have no choice. Why? Because we're not gonna. He's not giving us an option of taking away your dalit. Your dalit has to be your dalit. That we don't change. The open cities retain their date. To put the Shushan on that day, he says, I can't, because the structure is they have to be on separate zmanim. There's two separate zmanim. So what am I supposed to do? So therefore I put them a day early. It's a change of structure. You're right, it's a change of structure. But it's the best thing I can do because he, and in this sense he's similar to Rabbi, that he wants Yudala to be in the same day, right? He doesn't want Yudala to be pushed off, but he also has another priority, that Mukafin shouldn't be the same day. So therefore, you can't do it afterwards, you do it before.
Anyway, there's no reason to move.
We're moving Mukafin from Tesvav to Yud Gimel.
Don't move the Yodalit.
You're moving it anyway, right?
Why don't you say that, I'll preserve both ways?
How?
Say, Shabbos, Sunday, we one big day.
No, we learned before that it says V'lo Yaver. The Gemarah says you can never do it after Tesvav because it says V'lo Yaver. You never pass these days, so I can't go after Shabbos. But I can go before. My time of the Rabbi Yossi. What would be the reason of Rabbi Yossi? He says, "B'chol shana v'shana, ma kol shana v'shana ein mukafin kaid min la'yaris, afkan ein mukafin kaid min la'yaris." Every year, the walled cities never read before the unwalled cities. Here too, you can't change that. You cannot make the walled cities reading a day before. That's a nullification of the structure. And also, Rabbi Yossi holds you can't push away your dalit from its permanent time. So what are you left with? So I have no choice. I have to do your dalit, and on your dalit I have to do the walled and the unwalled. Wait a moment. B'chol shana v'shana means that they never have the same time. How could you do it this year? You're making them both on the same day. You're right. Shani achad lo yafsher. I have no choice. I can't put them on separate days. Why? I can't put the mukafin before the open cities because it says b'chol shana v'shana, and this would be undermining the structure of this system of Purim. On the other hand, I can't take away your dalit from its permanent time. So therefore, I have to have them both on one day, and they both read Erev Shabbos your dalit other. In other words, here, the Gemarah, in this discussion, the Gemarah introduced a third feature. In the first brisa, we had two features. Is b'chol shana v'shana, your dalit is the focus, it should stay permanent, or tesvav is the focus, right? That it should have its own separate day. Rabbi holds your dalit is the focus, and therefore you read it on Friday, and the Tanakama holds no. The mukafim is the focus, and therefore your regular cities read it on Thursday, and they are on Friday. Here in this brisa, we introduced another feature. There's three elements of the structure. Number one, open cities read on your dalit. That's number one. Number two, open cities and walled cities read on separate days. That's another feature every year. And feature number three is walled cities never come before unwalled cities. They read separate days and they also never come before. So Tanakama says the first two definitions are the most important definitions. And therefore, I need that the cities should always remain on your dalit, always on your dalit, and I also want that the walled cities should read on Yud Gimel. Why? Because I want the two separate days. Two separate days, so therefore this will be Thursday, this will be Friday. Rabbi Yossi says the most important definition is definition 1 and definition 3. Definition 1 is your dalit maintains its date, Friday, and definition 3 is what? You cannot read mukaf before regular city. The walled cannot be before the unwalled. It has to be always afterwards. And therefore Rabbi Yossi says you can't do it on Thursday, so you do it on Yud Dalet. Right, but what are you supposed to do here? It's Shabbos. We try whatever we can. So conclusion, Rabbi and Rabbi Yossi both agree that what? That when your dalit is on Erev Shabbos, everybody besides the villagers read the Megillah on Friday. Both the walled cities and also the unwalled cities, we will not take away your dalit from its regular routine. That's what Rabbi tells us. Rabbi Yossi says the same thing. We will not put your dalit on Thursday. We're going to keep your dalit on Friday. And we're not going to do the walled cities on Thursday also to make the mukaf before the ayaris. No, it has to be after, or at least here the same, but you're not going to make it before, even though what's going to happen is that the two are going to merge into one day, which is compromising the structure, but nonetheless, there's no other possibility. To make the mukaf before the ayara is that we're not going to do. We're not going to make the Shushan should read a day before the regular cities. Says the Gemarah, okay, v'savar Rebbe ayaris loy dechinon l'yom haknisa. So basically, Rebbe holds that in open cities you will never push back the Megillah to Thursday, right? Rebbe says, I will not change that. Unlike Tanakama, who said, Read it on Thursday. Let the walled cities read it on Friday, and that way you retain the structure that what? That there's two separate times. Tanakama said that Ayar is Kaid Mislam Makafin. No, Rebbe says you can't push it away. You have to leave it on Friday. But I don't understand. Va'atanya, we have another brisa. Choli is b'Shabbos. What happens if Yudalit Adar is on Shabbos? What do? Kfarim, Makdimin L'Yom HaKnisa. The villages read it on Thursday. Vayadas G'dolos Kairim B'Erev Shabbos. The regular cities read it on Friday because it's Yud Gimel and they can't read it on Shabbos because Shabbos is Yudalit. Or Makafas Chaim Alamachar. And the walled cities read it on Sunday because Shabbos is Yudalit. They read it on Tesvav. Rebbe says, Oimer Ani, again I say, Hoyel V'nidchu Ayaris Mem Kaima. Since you already pushed the regular cities off, you went back from Shabbos to Friday, so therefore I tell you, you know what? Push them back one more day, Thursday. Rebbe says, since they're anyway not reading on Yudalit because it's Shabbos, so they have to read on Friday, you know what? Let them read together with the rest of the Jews. What do you have to make a separate date? Let them read together with the Jews in the villages who are reading on Thursday. That's what Rebbe says. Let's try to unite Klal Yisrael as much as possible, not create a new date for the Megillah. Let them go from Shabbos to Thursday instead of Shabbos to Friday. Very interesting argument. That's what Rebbe holds. What do we see from here? That Rebbe is fine to take the Ayaros, to take the cities, and be them doichel yoyim haknisa. Huh? So the Gemarah, hachi hashto. How are you comparing the two brises? Hosem zmanam Shabbos. In the second brise, the right time was Shabbos. You're anyway not doing it in the right time. So v'hoyel denitchu yidchu. You're already pushing it away from the right date. You're already not postponing it, but what's the opposite of postponing, Rabbi Aaron? You're anyway, What does the art scroll say? You're anyway, Hoyel v'nitchu. What do they say? Hoyel v'nitchu yidachu. How does that?
And since unwalled towns are anyway shifted.
Since they're anyway shifted, let them be shifted one more day. V'hacha here in the first place is manam Erev Shabbos. The time is Erev Shabbos. So Rebbe says, don't eliminate that structure. Don't shift it from Erev Shabbos. So you can't compare the two brises whatsoever. So therefore, Rebbe maintains his view. If it's Friday, you keep it Friday. If it's Shabbos, then I say push it back to Thursday, which is actually the opinion in our Mishnah.
Rabbi was the one who said that you can't have it on you can't have it on the same day.
No, Rebbe says you do it on the same day. If it's Friday,
Oh, it was the
Rebbe says you do it on the same day. You dalit, you do Friday, you dalit, you do the walled cities and unwalled cities. Tanakama said that you do it on Thursday, you don't do it on the same day. But even Shabbos, Rebbe says, once you're shifting it, you're already shifted. Asks the Gemarah, Keman Ozla Hada Amr Reb Chelbe Amr Reb Huna Purim Shechali is b'Shabbos Hakal Nitchel Yom HaKnisa. Reb Chelbe said in the name of Reb Huna that if Purim is on Shabbos, everybody gets shifted to Thursday. Whose opinion is he following? Whose opinion is Reb Huna following? So the Gemarah says, well, one second. Hakal Nitchel Sol Kedaitich? What do you mean everybody gets shifted to Thursday? That's not true. Ha'ikam Makafin Davdi L'machar. In the walled cities, they're not going to Thursday. They're going to do it tomorrow. He says, yeah, he means Ela Kol HaNitchi Yidachel Yom HaKnisa. Reb Chelbe, in the name of Reb Huna, means that those who are being shifted, the villages and the unwalled cities, they all go to Thursday. That's what he meant. He doesn't mean the walled cities, they're not being shifted at all. Those who are being shifted go to Thursday. Who is he following? Says Gemarah says, Keman, Kerebi, like Rebbe in the last brisa, who told us that what? That when Yudalit Adar is on Shabbos, everybody reads on Thursdays. What do we mean, everybody? The unwalled cities and the villages read on Thursday and not on Friday. So Reb Huna is following here the view of Rebbe.
Won't be a problem with the second drive that we learned today?
What's the problem?
It's not connected one day to the other.
If Yudalit is on Shabbos, Rebbe holds everybody reads on Thursday, and the Mukafas Chaim read tomorrow. You can't read it on Shabbos, right? So you can go back Friday, like Tanakama. You can go back to Thursday. Rebbe says go back to Thursday. Tanakama says go to Friday.
You should have said that we put it up there before.
Mukafas Chaim is going to be Sunday. Mukafas Chaim is good in this case. If Chol is Erev Shabbos, Tanakama. The second Bryce, Rabbi Yossi is Machal. So it's 2 separate days. Mukafas is Thursday, and he says no. You do 2 separate days. You can't get 2 consecutive. You do 2 separate. Huh? Purim HaMeshulish is a different issue. Purim HaMeshulish is when you have Tesvav on Shabbos. That you have even nowadays. Your Dalet is Friday and Purim HaMeshulish is on Shabbos. Okay, we'll be mafsek here and we'll continue Mitzvah Hashem tomorrow. Bli neder, I want to be a little more meticulous. I have to change this. We're going to start 7:45 because every day we were starting 8. I'm gonna finish the earlier shir early. Bli neder, huh? Yeah, when your dalet is on Shabbos, your dalet today can't be on Shabbos in our calendar. But when your dalet is on Friday, Tesvav is on Shabbos, and then they read the Megillah on Friday. Huh? And they do Shalach Manas on Sunday usually, and Sudas Purim on Sunday. Matanas Lavyanim they do on Friday with the Megillah. It's called Purim Meshulish, a triple Purim, yeah. It's going to be, we'll see in the next surg of the Gemarah. Ask.
No, I think the issue, because you're saying consecutive, the issue was never consecutive. The issue was that one should be before the
One should be before, yeah.
have to be one day after.
You're right. Mukafin is never koidim to the Ayoris. Right. That's Rabbi Yossi's problem.
It could be days apart.
Yeah, that's his issue. In the second Braisa, he makes an interesting compromise.
Right.
He makes it 2 separate days, right? He keeps your dalet. He wants both. He wants your dalet should stay your dalet, but he doesn't want the mukav should be together with your dalet. So he does it a day before.
Just to have it separate.
At least separate. That's his pshara. Rabbi Yossi says, no. He says, that's not good. I would like to have them separate, but the separate has to be never that the mukav comes before. In other words, in the second brayta, there's a whole new machloikas. Separate, yeah, but am I ready for separate that the mukav should be before? That changes everything. It comes first. Rabbi Yossi says part of the structure that you have to uphold is that the mukav can't be before, even if that means they have to be on one day. Okay? Because that's much worse. The fact that it's on the same day means it's not later, but at least it's not before. If it's before, it undermines the structure. Then Akama says at least it's not the same day. At least you're separating them. It's also an interesting machlokes, you have to understand. Everybody had their way of looking at it. There was some mahalach here. It wasn't some, they have to fight about everything. They had some way of looking at Purim. These are deep arguments. They're not simple arguments.
People will know that we can't do it together.
I got it. But he says better do it together, but that the mukav shouldn't come first. That's what he says. That the mukav shouldn't come first. Ein mukafin kaid milayaris. So that's not unwalled. That's villages. Villages are a unique issue. Over there, they didn't have minyanim. They didn't have a structure for Purim. Okay? And they had to schlep to the city to read the Megillah, which is a long and tedious and complicated journey. So the Chachamim said, you know what? They're already coming Monday and Thursday. Let them do it then and give them an open Purim. They could sit and celebrate all day.
And that's not what we're talking about.
Because they can't just go into the shul next door and read the Megillah. They have to get into the horse and buggy and pack up food, right? And the kids are screaming. And they have to go to Costco and get food. So it's not going to happen. That's it. But that's villages. If Purim is on Monday and Thursday, they come in. Here we're talking about regular cities like here that are unwalled, and they're reading Megillah on Yudalit, and Yudalit is on Friday. So the question is, do we give them, put it a day before, or we say, no, it's on Friday?
Out of respect for Shushan, the city that had a wall.
So Shushan had a wall, right? So one opinion is they should be separate, they should have their own day. So therefore, you put the regular cities on Thursday, and Shushan gets Friday. That was the first opinion. Another opinion was, no, Shushan goes on Thursday and the regular cities go Friday. And Rabbi Yossi both hold, no, everyone is on Friday. The villages you keep Thursday and everybody is on Friday. Why you go back a day? Because they're anyway doing it on Thursday in the villages. Today your dalit can't be on Shabbos. That's not a possibility. But it could be on Friday. We have Purim on Friday. Purim could be on Friday. Can't be on Shabbos. Purim could be on Sunday. Purim could be on Tuesday. Purim could be on Thursday. Purim could be on Friday. Today. Purim will never be Monday, Wednesday, or Shabbos. That's not a possibility. Badash, Beis, Dalet, Shin, you'll never have Purim. But you'll have Purim Aleph, Gimel, Hey, Vav. Devash, Beis, Dalet, Shin, you'll never have Purim. Today, Devash. Yeah. Was kemel nicht lecken Honig auf Purim. Es lecken Sukkah, nicht Honig. Lecken Mashke, nicht ken Honig. There's no Dvash. Beis, Dalet, Shin, there's no Purim. Today, in the olden days, there could be Purim on Shabbos because every month was different. There was no fixed calendar. Depends when the witnesses came. No, B'chol Shana v'Shana, he teaches every year the same. Not only Medafes Tan auf den selben Eufen. That's why it says Shana twice, perhaps, or it's also the Mashmoas. In other words, not just do it every year, but do it every year again. I told you, Shana means again, Mishnah. Perhaps. And also the Mashmoas is Atodavar b'chol shana v'shana. Atodavar b'chol shana v'shana. Shana miloshin Mishnah. Shana miloshin Mishnah, yeah. You asked her, Shaila, what was the Havamin of the Gemarah, the stid of the two Brises, yeah? That Rabbi said that when Purim is Shabbos, you go back to Thursday. So, l'chayra, it's obvious. The answer is l'chayra obvious in the question. It's not the same thing. Achi ashta. Because you're anyway pushing it, you're anyway shifting it, right? Rabbi says, Hoyel v'nitchu ayaris mim kaiman, what's his lashon? Hoyel v'nitchu ayaris mim kaiman, yidach, he says, Hoyel v'nitchu. Like, what's the shaila of the Gemarah? It could be, some say, I saw that the art scroll, he's Matzia, a very nice answer. He says it could be a very geschmack of art that when the Gemarah asked the question, the Gemarah thought maybe part of Rebbe's svara was that it's not good to do it on Friday because people have to get ready for Shabbos. So it's better to avoid reading the Megillah on Friday because maybe they have to get ready for Shabbos, and it could be mevatel, the covet of Shabbos, the tzarchi of Shabbos. So maybe that was the svara of Rebbe to bring it back to Thursday. If that's the svara of Rebbe, then even if your dalet is erev Shabbos, Rebbe should put it back Thursday. Mitzvah that svara, because if you read it on Friday, it's going to be mevatel tzarchi Shabbos. If you say that's the svara, so then that was the vart of the Gemarah. In other words, what's the difference? If the Gemarah thought that was the svara, so then that logic exists in both. So the answer was no. Rebbe holds your dalet always has to be on the day when your dalet is. In other words, you have to read the Megillah always on your dalet and never change it. When you can't, because it's Shabbos, right? You can use the svara of Shabbos as an extra time to push it back Thursday instead of Friday. But the main thing is that you can't do it on Shabbos. You're already shifting it. Once you're shifting it, I can use this as an extra svara to do it Thursday. But l'chatchila to shift it for that svara, that you're not going to do. It's interesting. The Rambam in Hilchas Tainiyas says about Tainis Esther that if Tainis Esther is on Shabbos, if Yud Gimel Adar is on Shabbos, you do it on Thursday. Why? B'pnei kvoid haShabbos, not to fast on Friday. But the Rambam says, but if Tainis Esther is on Erev Shabbos, if Yud Gimel Adar is on Erev Shabbos, again, it can't happen today because Purim won't be on Shabbos. But if Tainis Esther, then he says you fast on Erev Shabbos. In other words, if you're anyway pushing off Tainis Esther from Shabbos to Friday, then go to Thursday, the covered Shabbos. So it could be this was the Havamin in the Gemarah. Huh? To prepare for Shabbos, you don't want to. So Megillah the Maskana is that by Rabbi the most important thing is lo yidachu ayaris mimekaiman. But he doesn't mean never to be a doicha, because you could be a doicha to Thursday. He means if you could do it on time, you're never doicha. But if you can't do it on time anyway, then I don't mind if you doicha 2 days. Instead of Friday, go back to Thursday. It's just an extra reason. The main reason we explained why you push it off to Thursday is to do it together, to make Achdus and Klal Yisrael. There's another reason that he pushed it off to Thursday. The Rashba and the Ritva bring from Yerushalmi a very interesting reason, and that is that Rabbi chose better, he preferred better not to do it on Yud Gimel. If you do it on Friday, it's going to be because Yud Gimel was the Yom HaMelchama, and Purim is a day of rest. So he preferred to do it Yud Beis rather than Yud Gimel. A new reason. In other words, when you have to choose between Yud Gimel and Yud Beis, you're anyway pushing it off backwards. So he said, Gori, that's a new reason. Yud Gimel is the Yom HaMelchama, it was a day of war, it was a day of violence, even though it was justified, but it wasn't a day of Menuchas HaNefesh. So that's why you push it off to Yud Beis, because Yud Beis wasn't a Yom HaMelchama. No, obviously if you do it Yud Gimel, but that's a whole interesting thing, that the L'chatchila, he didn't want to make the Megillah on Yud Gimel. Sometimes you have no choice, the Bnei HaKfarim do it, as we learned before. Even though the Gemarah earlier said Zman Kehillah L'Koili, In other words, Yud Gimel is Zman Melchama, and the whole idea of Purim is Menucha, not Melchama. So it's a very interesting reason. That's what the Rishonim bring from Yerushalmi, a whole different vart. Mamash, a whole different vart. The first pshat that's brought in Rishonim is to unite the Jews, and the second vart is that he didn't want to choose. He didn't want to choose a day of Melchama. Different opinions don't compromise unity. We make a mistake. The different opinions compromise unity. They don't. They actually enhance unity. Huh? Yeah, fakert, it's more unity. Yeah. Because by denying your opinion, we don't get closer. And it's not like we have one opinion. In the source of ayin, there's endless opinions. So therefore, denying another opinion doesn't make unity. It creates oppression. You understand? It's the diversity that brings us back to unity when we realize that it comes from one. Avada. Avada. Yagdal Torah v'yader.
This class is brought to you by theyeshiva.net. Please help us continue the classes. Make even a small contribution at www.theyeshiva.net/donate.